Welcome to this week's Acca podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. Tom, Jake and Argentina Jimmy with you to run through the schedule. Coming up on this episode then, it's getting tasty across the divisions, but that makes it a tricky slate to deal with. So we settle on a treble across two leagues at just shy of 20-1. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to ensure that you never miss an episode, and remember to keep it fun. Never bet more you can afford. This podcast is 18+. Please gamble responsibly. Let's start with last week, as we always do. It was terrible, wasn't it? It was so full of hope. And, no, it's not happened.
No,
yeah,
it was shit, wasn't it?
Well, we weren't shit. We picked the right teams. They just didn't do what
they just didn't turn up, did they? They didn't turn up. It was Crawley. They lost to Stevenage, didn't they? Charlton picked up a draw. That was nice of them. I think they were 2-0 down at one point against Lincoln. They rallied back, so that was never in doubt. Sheffield United, we also had them in the Tuesday Sport Life Plus Acca. They've done us twice in the space of 4 days. We will talk about the Blades and Everything Championship in a little bit. Comments? Does anyone want to take it away? I haven't looked at them.
Rich Grove,
Leave it to you, lads.
Yeah, Rich Grove 3368 said he was sitting at the Valley today, and at halftime it was clear the bet was doomed. With my Charlton playing so badly, just a bad day. You will bounce back, I'm sure.
That's very nice, isn't it?
Nice, yeah.
A lot of nice comments. A lot of nice comments.
It's a bit sickening, isn't it?
Yeah. Kirsty Mitchell T9V said, you guys deserve a lot of praise last week for putting up with all the hate. Well done. I'm long enough in the tooth, been betting 30 years, to know tipsters can't be judged over short term, but plenty others aren't. And that was the general theme of all the comments. I thought when I looked last night, because it was so bad, I think it was the worst result-wise Acca we've had in a long time.
Long time, yeah.
Not to have
God,
one winner.
that Charlton rallying back, because that saved 3 defeats.
It could have been the first stinker.
Yeah, I think
It could have been. But so I was expecting to go in the comments and see some good old-fashioned hate, but no.
none of it. Yeah, we've had 2 shockers so far this season. That was the latest one. Shockers we define as one where we don't get any results right.
Who came up with this rating system?
I don't know.
Why is a shocker worse than a stinker?
I thought you did.
I didn't come up with that.
It feels like a phrase you use.
Maybe I did inadvertently.
It feels like something you'd say when you describe how the Accas have got on. I've always assumed it was you.
I came up with the name, the Acca Tracker. Well, I didn't. I was saying, Joe was like, what do we call the thing that we track it on? Acca. And then I said, Acca sounds a bit like Macca Packer. And then he said, Acca Tracker. I was like, you're welcome. But in my head, I would rank a stinker as a worse thing than a shocker.
Yeah. I think so. I'd prefer to not have either, but if we're having to rank them, I'd say I'd
very
probably
similar.
go.
I'd say a shocker is leaving me pack up at home, but a stinker is all 4 your tyres popping out on the motorway. And
That's just a nightmare. Maybe we could have called it a nightmare.
The back of a lorry.
I'll tell you what, maybe we'll rebrand it for the new season.
Yeah.
But the fundamental is we're a promotion-chasing side, and we've just taken the initiative, and we're ahead, and then we've got about 5 teams chasing us. A bit like League Two. Imagine we're leading League Two, and we've panicked a little bit.
Not fucking Walsall.
We've turned up on the Saturday, we're away, the pressure's got to us, so we've completely collapsed to a team in 15th. That's how I'd describe as we approach the Easter weekend, the crucial part of the season. That's next weekend, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I believe we're on Wednesday record next week.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. I want to do it at a football ground.
Okay.
But I don't know how to go about making that
the
happen.
problem is Dom, the producer's just fucked off to Florida randomly.
Yes.
So
He's not back next week even, is he?
No.
He's still there.
He has a child and he has to go on holiday in the school holidays, which is
he just literally just randomly just went. You know, usually these holidays you plan months, year in advance for depending. No, just last week he went. I'm off. By the way,
Is there anyone he doesn't fucking know? He knows someone who got him free tickets to Universal.
Oh my
Studios.
God, yeah, he knows everything.
How have you done that?
He knows everything about everyone. He's the most well-connected man I've ever met.
But he can't get us in a football ground regularly.
Yeah, he's basically like Del Boy. You know, if he needs something, he'll get you it. But probably through legal manner. I will correct that. So yeah, maybe we can. But the point was Wednesday record because obviously the games are on Friday, and then we've got another round on Monday as well. I'm not entirely sure what we're doing about Easter Monday, but we'll deal with that. So we'll be dropping a day ahead than your usual expected thing, and then presumably we put it on site for the enhancement on the Thursday. I think everything would go a day ahead, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So those that aren't subscribed,
definitely
get a notification as to when it's published, and you know, forget that. There we go.
That saved me a
Smash the
line.
subscribe
We're
button.
not smashing it, are we?
Do that. So yeah, that'll be Wednesday next week. Before we get into that, we've of course got this week, and before we get onto that, midweek football, there was a lot of it. We had an Acca that didn't go well.
Went all right.
It went all right. You Sheffield boys disgraced yourself. Birmingham got promoted.
Oh, yeah, you were
Went to
2-0
shut the
up.
bed, yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations to Birmingham, by the way. They were promoted already.
Yeah.
They've got 6 games left. They're on for 110 points. They're well on course to smash the record, which I think is 103, set by Wolves. They got the job done against Peterborough. As I said there, Sheffield Wednesday were backed against Blackburn. If you backed it on a 2-up sort of slip, you'd be paid out. Blackburn have not won in ages. Haven't got a point in ages. Pulled it back to 2-2. And Sheffield United, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, let's touch on that.
With Sheffield United.
Because Wilder came out swinging at the fans, didn't he, at the weekend as well?
Yeah, rightly so. Rightly so.
I agree with that, actually, that I think he was right in what he was saying.
Yeah,
But then
For the listeners that don't know what he said, what just...
So he's basically, they got booed at Oxford or something. He's had a go at them saying it's a disgrace. Look at how well we're doing effectively this season.
And that game,
We're having an off day, that's fine.
It wasn't even an off day. They took their chance. We didn't take our chance. It was a United game that we've seen about 41 times this season.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go our way. But the problem is with that one is, you'll probably know, Duffman, as an avid football follower. I don't know about you. But the Sheffield United away point system is flawed. So it's just an accumulation of all time. So what you get is the older fans get the priority tickets. So a lot of these away days is the most points. The older fans get the priority. They get the first dibs. So a lot of the away days for really small allocations, it's a bit like a retirement home.
Oh, yeah.
He's absolutely what I mean.
You get
Oxford, you've
involved
got
as
about 20
well.
tickets, haven't you, as well? Like you're saying, there's just no away allocation there. at the moment.
So there's just a load of old boys, basically. What you're
Yeah, and I think that was the problem. But the United game in midweek, Wilder come out and said, "Yeah, you were right to boo. It was a bit bad."
I did see people saying that this effect, and kind of as is the case when it gets to promotion time, basically every kind of single result matters. But I saw a lot of criticism online was the typical Wilder thing of he'll come out swinging at the fans, and then the next game he'll pick the same 11 in it's my team, I'm doing it my way sort of thing. They play badly, get beaten, and it's kind of like you've had one off day that's then been followed by an avoidable result, but it's almost like I'm making a point. I told you so. This is what's happening. And then now they've gone from a very comfortable position to quite vulnerable because it's Easter Monday. I keep getting it for it's Friday. It's Easter Monday. They play Burnley in that crucial game.
Yeah.
But it did feel a bit like that in midweek, but I don't know if I'm right in saying that.
Yeah, but just going back to the fans quickly, I remember I went to when we played you lot at home, and after you equalised or you went a goal ahead, it was the goal ahead, still like 5-6 minutes of injury time to play. Bramall, like, the cup just went half empty. I couldn't get my head around it, and there is a genuine weird sense of entitlement with United fans at the minute. Very annoying. But on Wilder, he rested Vinny. He didn't put Vinny Souza back into the team. Him and Tanaka, best 2 midfielders in the league. Stubbornness, bang on. The last thing is, imagine if we didn't get that points deduction. 3 teams on 85 points.
It would have been absolutely unbelievable.
Mouth-watering, wouldn't it?
We will touch upon that championship promotion race a little bit more in a bit when we talk about the championship. Let's start.
Do we also just need to... We congratulated Birmingham. Do we also need to congratulate Southampton on being the...
Oh, my God, yeah.
back.
I was generally going to bring this up when we spoke about the Premier League, which actually segues us into it nicely. Southampton relegated Ivan Juric. Apparently, he didn't really want to go, but Southampton had clause
Pushed him out the door.
Absolutely no chance. Are we keeping you, pal? Off you go.
Well done, Tom, on your outright. We'll put it out in the
complete
domain as well. Nice 10-1 winner.
Fluke that. I thought he'd walk after Ipswich. They won that game and they made some signings, but we'll take it.
Fastest ever team to go down, right?
Yeah, fastest ever team in terms of game weeks. They are down at game week 31. The previous record was the infamous Derby team of 07-08, and Huddersfield, when they went down, joint relegated on game week 32. So Southampton did that. By all reports, Immediately, the players didn't take to Juric after a couple of training sessions. They just didn't take to him whatsoever. And I think his appointment was a bit of a no nonsense. We need someone to come in and screaming and start sorting this team out.
If we're being honest,
it hasn't worked out at all.
The appointment was because they couldn't get Danny Roll, and because it would have been too expensive to get Danny Roll, because we know that he's their chosen manager to take over, but to get him out at that time, it was going to cost 10 million quid. Southampton weren't going to pay that. They just wait for the summer.
Danny Roll might be off to RB Leipzig though now.
See that? Preferred candidate, isn't he?
If I was him, that's where I would be going.
Do you know the hilarious thing is, Russell Martin took another job, so they could just say, "Do you want to come back for Championship again?"
Sorry about that, Russell. I did have the theory on Monday morning where I said that, didn't I, before all this came out, my theory was if Southampton want Danny Roll, they're already relegated. There's potentially something that in the Juric thing they can get rid of him. Why don't they go to Sheffield Wednesday, who have a cash flow issue, need to pay players, need to make payment by Monday to avoid a 3 transfer window ban, was it?
Yeah.
Why didn't Southampton go to Wednesday, say we'll negotiate a cut price for Roll, but we'll give you the money today, effectively, that we can get it done. It's far less than any clause, but it helps solve that problem. And then it came out that Juric had left Southampton, and about half an hour later, Sheffield Wednesday went, "We're delighted to confirm everyone's been paid. We've avoided any embargoes."
Maybe it happened in the background.
So I was like, "Shit, I'm a genius. I've done it. I'm a genius. Oh my god, I've done it."
They all come out in the summer.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Maybe it did in the background. But Southampton are down. This week they play Aston Villa. This is an incredibly tricky one to call, because did we watch Villa at PSG last night? I think not too many complaints about the result ultimately. No. As frustrating as that final goal will be, and you could kind of see it in the reaction of the PSG bench that they knew how crucial that third goal was late on. Because at 2-1 going to Villa Park, you think maybe they could sneak a 1-0 as they kind of did against Bayern Munich, and then you go to penalties and stuff like that, but they were comfortably outplayed. It's a very tough one for Villa to call this, isn't it? It's how many changes do you make? The tie's still effectively alive in the Champions League. It's only 2 goals, as good as PSG are. It's not like they're Dortmund, who got hammered 4-0 at Barca, and that tie is done. A lot of people will be drawn to this game because Villa are above 1-2 against one of the worst sides the Premier League's ever seen. Would you touch this game? Would you gamble on that price or not? Because Villa rotation now
is top of the notch.
Is very, very good compared to what it was. And even if they do rotate relatively heavily, they're still in a strong position, because ultimately they've still got now a top 5 confirmed to go for. They are still well alive in that. They're only 2 points behind Newcastle and Chelsea. They've still got a lot to play for.
Yeah, big time. And like I said, the depth is just so impressive now, all over the pitch. You could literally bring in a new front 3 from what played in midweek, and it'd still be better than what Southampton could deal with. The main reason why I'm hesitant is just the fact that Southampton have now got rid of Juric, so they've got that. It's not a new manager bounce, but they might be a little bit relieved to get out the.
You see it from relegated teams all the time. The pressure's off now, isn't it? And it doesn't really matter now. You don't feel the pressure of having to win.
And they've taken one of Derby's records. I don't think they're going to want to take another one. So I think that they're going to be trying all they can to get 2 more points from now to the end of the season.
Who's the new manager? Who's the temporary guy?
Simon Rusk.
Yeah, Adam Lallana's in part of the back room as well, isn't he?
Rusk is academy, I think. He's had one senior managerial spell, and it was at Stockport in the National League. It didn't go well. But by all accounts, is very highly rated at Brighton when he was the academy coach there. I think, because it was Ruben Sellers last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think when Sellers left, my guess would be Rusk potentially came in. I'm not entirely sure on that. But senior football management, very limited.
Well, I was just wondering, because if they all hated Juric, and then they've got someone who's going to be a good cop coming in now. Lallana.
Don't worry about
Lallana, yeah. Come on, lads. Let's give these fans summer.
They're not playing with any pressure anymore either.
No, I know.
And Juric probably was putting them under quite a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I know Villa have got brilliant squad depth now, but them after Europe's always been a bit of a no-go zone.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like we said, the record after the Champions League is horrendous this season, but most of that did come when they were in the middle of a really big injury crisis and they didn't have the players to rotate, whereas now you've got Marlon. Obviously Asensio came off the bench in midweek. He can start. Watkins didn't start in midweek. Even in midfield, you've got Andre Onana that can come in. Even defence, if you wanted to. You've got Mings who can come in for Torres. They've got 2 left backs, 2 right backs. So they're pretty stacked if they did want to rotate. It's a really important game for Villa. And you could argue the schedule's fallen really kindly for them to have this game in the middle of the 2 Champions League matches and not like a away game at Chelsea. There's actually quite a big game for the top 5. So part of me says that price is too big for a team chasing the top 5 away against a team that's going down as one of the worst ever. But there's just nagging doubt still about the fact that, like, if Juric was in charge, this would be an automatic bet for me. Villa straight in, but their feel-good factor might be back. I don't know if you can feel good about sitting on 10 points after.
Well, they clapped him.
Let's feel worse.
Yeah, they clapped him away.
That is disgraceful, by the way.
Awful to see.
What the hell are you doing, clapping them off? Like, fair enough. You go, oh, don't abuse them. Right, fine. Don't clap them. That's the worst thing. Thank you for giving us a season of absolute misery. Thank you for that. Thank you. I've paid top prices to watch you. I have no idea what you're doing for the last 30
What would you have done when they come over?
Well, I mean, I would replicate when Leeds went down, and the iconic moment of that was that it was very much up against it. Weston McKennie is now doing very well at Juventus, by all accounts. Joined on second half of the season on loan, and Leeds summed up probably their relegation by when he got subbed off. Said goodbye to him by chanting "you fat bastard" over and over again. So I'd probably take that more approach. Certainly not applause.
Absolutely.
From one record breaker to another, Brighton play Leicester. 3-10. Leicester, congratulations to them. Of course, it's not all about Southampton breaking records. They became the first team in Football League history to lose 8 home league games in a row without scoring against Newcastle on Monday night, where they were terrible. Brilliant. They nearly scored early on, to be fair. It's like, oh, here we go, right? A bit of fight in them. No, didn't happen. Atrocious side. Hilarious backline for the Premier League that they're operating with. They go to Brighton. Again, it's a question of price, but I imagine when people look down the slate, and you obviously naturally always start in the Premier League because chronological order, it's always at the top of your bet slips, there will be a team that jump out. Brighton, who are still in a decent enough position, aren't they, in terms of the European places? Where are they? Ninth at the moment.
4 points behind 7th place, which currently gets you a Conference League.
Well in the mix for that, and Leicester are hopeless.
Oh, Leicester are going to be gone soon, aren't they? Mathematically, they could go down this week.
I don't think they can this week.
Well,
I think it's a couple of weeks.
It would be
effectively it is on goal difference.
On goal difference down, but
not
actual with the red arrow. They're just rubbish. I mean, that appointment of Ruud van Nistelrooy looks like one of the worst in Premier League history.
Yeah, it's annoying because Steve Cooper might
have had a better chance.
God, yeah, definitely got far more points. They'd only scored a goal.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
They would have been much more competitive in some of these games. Again, it's just a question of, do you trust Brighton at that price? Because these are the kind of teams that they've struggled with recently.
Yeah, on that, against the bottom 5, they've won 2 of 7. But at home, they've drawn against Wolves, drew against Ipswich, drew against Southampton. There's something about this. But I don't know if he's tweaked it.
Lost to Everton. That was under was that under Dash? That was Moyes. That was a Moyes one.
I'm not sure. But I don't know if Hertzler's changed it a little bit. He's tweaked his system, so I don't know if they'll be more equipped. But again, it just at that price, I don't think I want to go near that game either.
Doing his check-in with my mate who I mentioned about from uni before he got rid of his season ticket at Leicester the year they then won the Premier League. And he's checking if he got one for this season because that would be the ultimate other end of the scale. One more in the Premier League, which I actually had noted down because Nottingham Forest are 23-20 to beat Everton. And as much as we say Everton, and they have improved under Moyes, there's no doubt about that. Ultimately, Nottingham Forest at home all season have been incredibly good. They've lost it twice. I think the last one was Newcastle in about October, maybe. Yeah, a long time since they lost a home league game. 23-20. They're another side who are not only chasing the European places, they're firmly kind of wedged in there. A nice 4-point gap over. You've got to look down to 6th, of course, now, haven't you? So a 5-point gap over Manchester City.
Why have you got to look down to 6th now?
Top 5 gets Champions League.
Yeah.
Why?
Confirmed in midweek.
Because of obviously the new Champions League structure.
Yeah.
Top leagues get an extra play. 2 leagues across Europe get one of the big 5 get an extra place. It's all to do with coefficient points and stuff like that. And basically, England were nailed on to get it. By this point, But if one English team won one game, they would have then got the extra place. Obviously, Arsenal then beat Real Madrid, which confirmed it. So we're guaranteed 5.
Nice.
You look down to 6th when you... And it feels weird. It feels weird, doesn't it, saying the top 5 race.
Quarter of the league getting the Champions League.
Not sure about that. To quote Jimmy, that is a bit woke, isn't it? But they are comfortably in their Nottingham Forest, 5 points clear. Home game against Everton, who... nothing to play for, have they now, really? I mean, they'll obviously want to finish as high as they possibly can, but Ipswich, Leicester and that ain't getting out of trouble anyway.
No.
Feels like they'll give... Obviously, they'll want to win every game, but particularly in these last few weeks, feels far more importance on games at Goodison Park, doesn't it? And
100%,
Nottingham Forest at this price, decent.
Yeah, I was saying this to Jim upstairs. Like, Everton's motivation away from home compared to at home from now to the end of the season is going to be completely different. On paper, I quite like this. I think Forest are a big price. When else would you get a third-place team going at home to a bottom-half team odds against? Like if it was Chelsea, for example, at home to Everton, you're looking at 8 to 11 at minimum. And Forest's record against the bottom-half teams this season is just unbelievable. I've not had time to count how many, but they've drawn 1 and won the rest against the bottom-half teams, so they're actually unbeaten against bottom-half. The only reason I'm not all over this is just Everton drawing so many games at the minute, and they are the kind of team I could see Forest struggling to break down. And I think the draw's a real runner. So a little bit hesitant. What do you think, Jim?
I don't know.
You a bit interested?
A little bit, yeah.
I think it's a hefty price, isn't it? Like you say, for a team who are third at home against a team further down who aren't even. If it was like the classic relegation battle of there's 5 teams still in it at this point, then you'd be a bit more hesitant. But the entire slate, it does jump out a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then there's 9 games in it because the next Premier League round of fixtures Easter Monday. And then I'll be a bit worried when the FA Cup semis are, but that's not until a while away. It's a while away.
The week after Easter. Yeah.
So it's not even like the game before we go little one eye on that.
I don't know, because given I found the slate rotten. I didn't note this game down, but just talking about it now, it feels like a real sensible play. They've only dropped points in 1 game against bottom half teams. How many games is that?
Wolves. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15.
14 wins in 15 and odds against a team with very little to play for away from home when anything that you'd fancy them to get a result in is at home.
Yeah. They'll be so disappointed if they don't get Champions League football, don't they, now, Nottingham Forest? As much as you can reflect on it and say, what a campaign, and it will be, regardless. They should be playing European football in some capacity next season. But if it's not Champions League, there will just always be that element of what if, knowing how incredibly difficult it is to do, and the fact that you might not get that chance again for a very long time. You feel like the message from Nuno now is just focus, professionalism. Games like this, non-negotiable, have to end in victory.
Yeah, no, it does, and on paper it's a very winnable game. Like I said, I've just got in the back of my mind I could see this being a 0-0 or a 1-1.
Draw specialist.
They are Everton, and away from home they've only lost 3 of the last 10 league games away from home, Everton, and that includes 5 from Dyche and 5 from Moyes, and those defeats came at Bournemouth, who obviously at the time in January were one of the better teams in the league, Liverpool, runaway league leaders, and Amorim, his first game in charge of United. So been to Arsenal, avoided defeat, been to City, avoided defeat, beaten Brighton, beaten Palace, who were both at the time were playing very well, avoided defeat at Brentford, avoided defeat at Wolves, who again are playing well at the minute. So I don't know. I think I personally would like to put a pin in it and see where we're at. I'm not opposed to it, but at the same time, I am very. There's just something in the back of my mind that is putting me off it.
Can we revisit it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look what else there is then, because we've of course got a full slate of EFL, and we'll talk Championship next. So into the Championship there, where, as I mentioned earlier, Sheffield United are in action, Leeds are in action on the Saturday, both at 12:30 though.
They've done it again!
Burnley are in action on Friday night. They play Norwich, so the 3 promotion hopefuls are all out of the 3 p.m. Saturday action. Is there any games here that kind of jump out to you a little bit that we want to discuss?
Yep.
Go on.
Yep.
Fire away.
I'm sure we'll all be looking at Kenilworth Road.
At the Kenny.
potentially.
Oh, yeah.
No? Yes?
I had one eye on it, yeah.
One eye.
Just one. I'm not. I mean, Luton are terrible. Why do you want to watch anything at Kenilworth Road? Hey-oh. But
Hey-oh. Yeah, it feels weird, like, being pro-Luton, but part of who they're up against, part of
Improvement.
their improvement. Yeah, it took them a while under Bloomfield, but they're clicking now. It might be too late, but they are definitely doing better than they were. Since Burnley dicked them at the beginning of March, they beat Cardiff and Hull, drew with Borough, should have won that game comfortably. Drew against you boys.
yeah, limited leads to very little.
Limited you, and they drew with Stoke. But at the Kenny, under Bloom Dingers, it's played 7, 1-1, drawn 4, lost 2. So, a bit patchy. Millwall.
Patchy that shit.
Hang on a
1 win in
second.
7.
Hang on a second. Sheffield United and Millwall beat them, but there was less than half an XG between both of the teams in them games. So, those 2 losses, caveats potentially. Draws with Preston, Leeds, and Plymouth and Borough. They won the XG battle in all bar Leeds. So I know it's a familiar story with them, but it's a case of just not taking their chances.
Yeah, looking back, there was the Argyle game you mentioned there. When I watched extended highlights of it, but it definitely looked like they were the team that should have won that game out of the 2.
But having said all that about Luton, the bet is more to do with who they're playing. Blackburn. You just mentioned it when they drew with Sheff Wednesday. Is that their only second point under Valerian Ismail? They've been an absolute free-fall. What a terrible appointment.
Well, it was just a terrible state of things at the club, innit? That Eustace felt like he had to leave when he was getting a better opportunity at Derby. Yeah, it's all gone to shit. It is worth pointing out that they were punching above their weight, being in the top 6. All the data metrics had them in the bottom half, so the drop-off was coming at some point, and Eustace saw the right opportunity to jump ship just in time. Yeah, I like Luton. I like this bet. I'm on Luton as well. I think, like you said, Blackburn's part of it, but 5 unbeaten now for Luton, and the most important thing for me is they're not conceding chances. So defensively, they're very, very solid across those 5 games. Allowed just 0.7 expected goals against per game. So they're limiting their opponents to next to nothing whenever they play. And it's just a case of can they score against Blackburn, and I think they can. Blackburn have been all over the place, especially away from home. Lost 7 of the last 8 away league games. Yeah. The price is probably just about still value at 10 to 11. I think I'd probably back it a little bit lower, maybe 17 to 20. But yeah, you've got almost a team that needs to win, team that's on the beach now. Factor as well.
Would you back them to stay up? I know you said there, Jimmy, that it maybe is a little bit too late, but then is it? They're only 2 points adrift of safety, 15 still to play for. The thing that may screw them over is goal difference. They're considerably worse than teams who are outside of the relegation zone. They're on minus 25, Derby minus 10, Stoke minus 12, Hull minus 9, Oxford minus 18 potentially could be the one on that side of things. But they've still got a hell of a lot to play for here, and you know, the cliche, but the home games are the ones where if you're going to survive it, it has to be them.
Is there a price on them to stay up?
I'll find it.
You find that. I'll just explain why I don't think they're a good bet.
Stay up or go down?
To stay up.
Or to go in the Acca?
No, we're getting him in the Acca.
Terrible bet.
We're getting him in the Acca, but the schedule, I think it's one of the tougher finishes from teams down there. They've got to go to Derby, so that's a big game against a relegation rival who have hit a bit of form.
If there's ever a 0-0.
Then they've got to play Bristol City, who are obviously chasing top 6. Got to play Coventry, who are chasing top 6, and then they finish off with West Brom, and obviously they've fallen off a bit. But if they pick up a few more points, they might be playing for top 6 come the final day. So every single game they've got, apart from this Blackburn game, is going to feels like it might have something riding on it, which only adds to the pressure. And you kind of, at this stage of the season, you kind of want a few gimmies, don't you? You want to be playing Sheffield Wednesday or, you know, teams in and around there that have got nothing to play for. So yeah, that's probably why I would still think it's a bit of a job for them to do.
Can't find any staying up prices, but Luton 8 to 15, 1 to 2 to go down.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
5 to 4 or something to stay up.
But even though we think they're going to go down, back in this week.
I mean, it's a long old season still, isn't it? Long old 5-game season to go. Luton then a popular choice, it seems. Anywhere else in the second division that we want to go to? Because the one I did have noted down, and even though they did win last night, I'm still relatively happy, is Bristol City 11 to 8 at QPR. It's happening, isn't it? This Bristol City top six. It's actually gonna. It could actually happen here that they've broken the shackles of mid-table, upper mid-table. Let's be fair, of the 10th to 12th region, and they are now inside the top six. They've got a decent spot in the top six. A late winner against West Brom, just kind of not just significant for the points value that obviously comes with that, but the confidence, that feel good around the club. They are flying at the moment, and they're playing a QPR team who had that win in midweek, so there's a little bit more comfortable about them. And I know we've just said in terms of kind of staying up, you want to win your home games. QPR should be okay now. 7 points the gap with 5 games to play. It's just 11-8 on a promotion hopeful against a side now who are effectively mid-table nothingness.
So your logic makes sense, but then looking at Bristol's results, I don't think we can go near them away from home. 1 win in 12 away league games.
Yeah, but they're due one.
That is true. They could be due one, but I wouldn't feel comfortable backing a team that's won once in 12 away games.
Okay.
Personally. Like you said, there could be an aspect of QPR slippers on now or sandals on, but even so, like if we put this in, yeah, season's over. If we put this in and they don't, Bristol don't get the win, I will be kicking myself, because I would never look at backing a team that's not won, at least probably 6 of the last 12 away games, just as a base stat.
Just as a base stat. Yeah, I didn't consider this one, but one I did consider was Millwall 9-4 against.
Oh, you did?
Borough. I know, that's why I was laughing.
You're laughing upstairs, yeah. Go on, give us the rationale.
I don't know if it's a bit knee-jerk because I just watched them for 90 minutes beat United, but they seem like they are the horse that's hitting the front. I don't know. They're just coming to the boil, aren't they? They are winning loads of games now, and they are, 3 points off the playoffs. Terrible goal difference, but they play the team in 6th, who they're chasing down. It's 3 points off the playoffs, but essentially 4 with that goal difference.
It's 5. Just to update that, because Coventry won last night, so they jumped above Middlesbrough.
Oh right, yeah.
So it's 5, but it is a massive game. If they win, they've got a good chance of kicking on. But if they don't win, this gets season over for Millwall. But yeah, I like the reasoning you always go back to. I think we've done, how many years have we done this podcast now? But
2.
Every time we talk about Middlesbrough, is it just 2?
Yes.
Fuck, it feels like 10.
Feels like second season.
Feels like 10 pissing about with your 2. But yeah, your reasoning about like just Middlesbrough against teams that like quite compact, they don't have a very good record.
But I put this one in, and then like as I did more research, I was sort of thinking myself out of it. I just feel it's a horrible slate because Borough had a really bad end to the winter. They lost 5 games, didn't they, on the spin? But they've picked up since then. They've only lost 2 of their last 8. But then again, their record against like top 10 is bad. 1-4, drawn 2, lost 10.
I don't.
So I just
yeah.
And then it's a price 7-4.
They're playing the league leaders, but they were at home on Tuesday, whenever it was, and they had a lot of shots, but none that. Carnduff made a couple of decent saves.
Did he?
Yeah. Can't believe. And
were they decent, or were these just like saves that Melier wouldn't have saved?
The ball came at him and he saved it, which was nice. And then the last minute, right, under pressure, they've had a bombardment for about 10 minutes, but nothing that truly, really kind of went, wow, Borough have nearly scored there. And in the last minute, Darlow comes out, ball's coming in, comes out, claims it, where Melier would have gone, swung at it and have mispunched it and they would have equalised.
I bet that got the biggest ovation of the lot from the Leeds fans.
Jesus, yeah, the away end was just relief.
Oh my God, he's caught it.
But that's more that they had a lot of chances, a lot of just wastefulness, a lot of shooting from stupid areas when they're chasing a game, and maybe there was desperation, but when a lad's trying 40-yard drives, it's not going to trouble anyone, really. And ultimately, it should have really been 3-0. There were 2 offside calls in the game, 2 goals ruled out. One, I get the Bamford one. It happens. It's ears onside, but a split second you got that. Tanaka's been played on by 2 players and gets ruled offside. So there was the benefit of that, but ultimately they have conceded 3 legitimate goals. They have been comfortably beaten in theory. But there's just that wastefulness, though, from Borough is what the original point was. There just feels like there was so much desperation and attack. 0 composure, which I suppose when you got someone like Kalichi and Nacho bumbling about up front, that will happen. But yeah, just going to Millwall. It's.
I was quite surprised.
Coburn can't play though, can he? Because isn't he the lad who scored for Millwall in midweek? He's on loan from Borough, isn't he? So he won't be able to play.
Great goal. They've got Ivanovic, who's Serbian, young.
Scored a brace last time.
Yeah, I do like him. He's actually quite good.
He looks like a little bit of the devil in him.
Just a big price. It's a big price, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is a big price. If it was like that Bristol City 11-8, I'd be a bit more. Not too sure, but ultimately every season I say Borough will come good, and then it gets to the end of the season and they're not quite in the top 6 as they are at this current state. I could more looking at the more I like it.
Yeah. A lot of real like niggly ones, every single one, and it Forest. I don't know. Bristol City away. I don't know. Millwall.
I'm happy to rubber stamp the 2 of them. We have.
Which ones?
Luton.
Oh, Luton as well.
You
Yeah.
like Luton, so I'll go.
You like Luton?
I mean, yeah. They're on by their own relative season so far. They're on a lengthy unbeaten run, really, aren't they at the moment?
Yeah.
So that would be decent. And Millwall, from a price perspective, I'd more than happy take 2 promotion or playoff chasers. I'll just side with the home team if you give me above 2-1 on them. Would be my
we could always put them in and then take them out.
We could do. Why don't we provisionally do that then, and we can move on and look at the other leagues?
Yeah.
Right, provisionally then, asterisk, kind of pencil it in for another cliche. So far then, the Acca, we're taking Luton to beat Blackburn, and then we have Millwall to beat Middlesbrough. The price on that double, just shy of 5-1. Okay, then we provisionally have 2 teams that we like the look of from the Championship, which takes us, as I said there, just shy of 5-1. Into League One, where, again, the tricky slate continues. We've lost Wycombe. We've lost Wrexham to the early kickoffs. Wrexham are at Wigan, who I think we kind of were saying before there, decent price. Wrexham, 11-10 to win that game. Wycombe are home to Stevenage. They are 8-13, as you'd expect to win that one. I'd like to kick off the League One section by bringing Burton Albion to your attentions.
Oh, Jesus.
At 5-2, at home to a Huddersfield team who have royally made a mess of it, let's say diplomatically.
That's polite, I think.
Context of the table so far then, Huddersfield have dropped down to 8th. They are now 4 points outside of the playoffs. Disastrous campaign for them if they don't finish in that top 6, which is looking likely. Burton look dead and buried. Gary Bowyer came in. They are suddenly back to life. They are 3 points off safety now. 3 points off safety, whereas with a game in hand.
Are they?
Over the team above them, which is Bristol Rovers, who are just losing every week at the moment.
If they're playing away.
And at home.
I don't know, okay. It's the price for a home team, 5-2. Burton at the moment, let me find their home form, have not been losing many games at all. Across the last 6 at home, 3 wins, 2 draws and a loss. The loss came against Bolton. They beat Leyton Orient. They beat Reading. They beat Rotherham as well, who, of course, have had their issues. They are very much a win-lose. They're losing a lot of away games, as you'd expect a team like Burton to be doing in their position at the moment. But at home, recognising the importance of picking up the results there, and while it hasn't necessarily been a case of across the course of a season, I think if they had the current manager in across the course of the season, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever to see them sitting around 17th, relative safety, not a lot to play for. It's also, like when we spoke about Luton and Blackburn, it's the element of Huddersfield coming as well, who, as we said there, sacked Michael Duff. When you're a promotion-chasing team or a playoff-chasing team, you usually do that with a plan in place. The plan in place is not just to go, we'll just give it to, is it the academy manager or whoever then steps up in Worthington, to a point where the form was so bad, the reports came out they were then considering actually making an appointment to try and salvage the season. It could well just be a case of they've left it too late. Look, Duff's not immune from criticism, the word. You know, there were issues there. There was a case of not quite sure what formation was best and stuff like that. But ultimately, to then get rid of him without a plan in place has left them in a position now where, are Huddersfield going to make the playoffs? No. A lot of people, the majority of people would say, no, they're not, because you look at the teams above them and how they're going, the stability, which I know it's Reading, but in terms of on the pitch, there is the stability that they kind of have there. Huddersfield, 3 losses in their last 4, the win being at home to Mansfield, who, as we spoke about, really not a great deal going on there. It's a price play for me. It's at home, 5-2 for Burton to win. I think that is a lovely one on an otherwise tricky League One slate.
I don't mind it. I mentioned it to Jim before we came down. Yeah, I thought the price was too big. I think Huddersfield has still been priced like a top 6 contender, but they've not been like that for months now. Performances have been poor, results have followed.
Yeah, probably right, yeah.
Yeah,
carry on.
Thanks for checking.
Most frustrating thing about Huddersfield is they've got the individual talent, which is always why there is slight little bit of doubt whenever you come to backing them, because they do have some quality players in there that can kind of bear them out. But then the January recruitment was just, let's just build a striker department of the exact same striker, so there's no variety to go at.
And also, like we mentioned, the impact of just not having a plan, but on the face of it, it's daft. That also just demotivates the players. The players, you know, if you've got go from Duff, who's got a little bit of pedigree in terms of in this division, getting teams to playoffs, and then go to the academy manager. Where's the you're looking around going, well, this guy's going to take us to the playoffs, really? I'm not saying they're down in tools, but it definitely means that there'll be questions in the dressing room around the decision making, and probably will lead to a bit of demotivation. It's led to some shocking results, especially away from home. They failed to score in the last 3 away games, comfortably beaten. I mean, even Bristol Rovers beat them recently away from home, and that's the kind of standard that we're talking. Obviously, Burton are just below them, as you mentioned, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Bristol Rovers were a much bigger price than Burton.
Bristol Rovers, was that the Duff's last game? He got sacked after that, didn't he?
Feels like
Have a look.
It was around that point, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Duff's last game, yeah.
Yeah, because then the new guy came in and they dicked Crawley 5-1, but I remember that being a weird game. There was a really weird goal where he let him take a quick free kick or something before Crawley was set, stuff like that. A couple of worldies, a couple from set pieces.
Like that Lampard clip you seen, when he was Everton manager and they got battered at Palace in the FA Cup. Yeah, lucky goal.
Lucky goal.
Lucky set piece goal. Average goal. Another average goal. So.
All right, but the big goal, I don't mind it.
Yeah,
that was
fair
a good
enough.
goal.
Yeah, no,
but then by that point,
that was a bit of class.
effectively 1-1. So, point on the board, chuffed. No, but I was just looking, and as some people do, if they haven't really got a read on a team or they haven't been following, you can go on sites like sportinglife.com and it gives you underlying data, so you can just flag it. And I'm just looking at Huddersfield
Talking
now.
about data.
In the last 4 games, 1 win, but they haven't generated a solid XG goal in any of them. They beat Mansfield with an XG of 0.43. I haven't been watching them closely, but based on this, I can blag through it, and they look poor.
They're not creating chances.
No.
Saying at all. 0.7, 0.4, 0.4, 0.6 is the XG figures they've put up, which
conceded 5 in the 2 games on the road under the new guy without conceding.
I believe Burton have won 4 home games all season, but 3 of those have come in the last 6.
Yeah.
So you talk
Who have they beaten
about,
as well? Just read off if you got that.
Leyton Orient, they've beaten Reading, they've beaten Rotherham, and then they beat Shrewsbury back in early November. I'm not sure if Ainsworth was in charge for that one. No, it's Paul Hurst. So just before Ainsworth kind of came in, had his 5 minutes and went, "Nah, you're screwed, lads. See ya. I'm off back down south." And then you kind of look at the teams that beat them. Northampton were under Nolan, and they kind of had that little period. Exeter, a bit hit and miss. Wrexham beat them. Charlton, who we spoke about. Stockport as well. So they did have a bit of a losing run across November and January into early January, but they were playing some solid teams and teams who had different kind of points of that. They managed to pick up a 2-2 draw with Peterborough, and then this kind of 6-game run where they've only lost 1 then kicks in. Just to me feels like, we're pricing Huddersfield on kind of the early season expectation almost still, and we're 41 games in and they're far from those expectations.
Do you feel really confident? Oh, actually, let me reword that. Do you feel Shrewsbury against Mansfield confident? Do you remember? Shrewsbury. against Mansfield.
Yeah.
Do you feel that level of?
I feel more confident in Burton.
More confident.
Well, I feel more confident in Burton than in this one because we've got more of a extended period to kind of look at now with Bowyer at the helm.
Yeah.
It is just the fact that after 41 games, I'm talking about Burton Albion, to me, is enough to make me kind of go, they're probably worth inclusion. Because early season, back in October, November, before he came in, no point. The only inclusion Burton would have in this Acca would be if we were backing against them.
Yeah.
And now, with the season nearly at a close, there's a sign of life to them that's making me go 5-2. They're probably worth backing because I know this logic screwed us last week with Crawley, but they've
Crawley were a big
got to win. They've got to win this game.
Yeah.
On the Crawley game, though, Stevenage scored with an absolute worldie. Crawley was far and away the better team over the course of the 90 minutes. And when they equalised with 10 minutes to go, I thought if anyone's going to kick on and do it, it's going to be them. But then they just had a capitulation. You know what I want to do? I was just thinking about it then. Can we provisionally put Burton in? We can build a real long, silly list and then whittle it down at the end.
Burton going in just takes a shy of just 20s.
Magic. But I've got another big price from League One, and I think Jake's got another short price that I really want to mention. Reading, 2-1 at Northampton. Can't really quantify them, can you? Because they keep screwing us over. But there's just something, and it's probably to do with the fact that they're always treading the line between existence and non-existence. God bless them. It's really rallied the fans in this group of players, I think. You know, just you know what I mean, Duff?
What?
Come on. Because they won't go away. We thought when Sellers went, they'd just eventually fall down the division. They didn't. They also lost Sam Smith, the greatest striker in the division, bar maybe one. Richard Kone. Nah, fuck Stansfield. Penalty merchant. Unless you're talking about Kelman.
Yeah, Kelman at Orient, yeah.
Yeah. Or potentially Kilo Dunn.
This is another conversation.
Yeah,
what were we saying about Reading?
Reading, 2-1 Northampton. They just won't go away, will they?
No.
Northampton complete the double over Peterborough with an emphatic victory. Was it in the last game at the weekend? They're rivals, so take that with a pinch of salt. Nolan's coming in, he's done brilliantly to steer them away from any trouble, but it's now they're at the point where they're 7 points clear of the relegation zone. They picked up results in over half, 13 of the 20 games in charge. But their record against the top six makes me think it's worth siding with 2-1 Reading. They lost the reverse 4-1. Reading won, in case you didn't get that. And against the top six under Nolan, they played 5, drawn 3, lost 2.
Drawn 3.
I know. That's the only stickler.
2 of them at home as well. Stockport, Birmingham.
Yep, that is the main stickler there.
It's a no from me, Clive.
But just because of that? Yeah.
And Reading's away form is picked up a bit of late, but it's not really enough games, are they? Away from home.
Did you not just listen to me blag the siege mentality?
Yeah. I like
Jake.
the toe in the line between existence and non-existence. That was the best line. But 5 wins in 20 away games all season. It's not. I mean, it kind of goes against the Burton point as well. They've won 4 times at home all season, but I think the recency around Burton's victories has me more excited than Reading's away form recently.
Should we open up to League 2 as well?
Can I just throw Stockport in there?
I was just say, yeah, not saying we'll move on to League 2, but let's open up to that as well if you want to.
Okay. I'll just quickly go Stockport. They're the shortest price on my list, 4-5 to beat Rotherham. Rotherham are one of those teams. They've sacked the manager. They got a little bit of a bounce. It's probably just a feel-good factor. 3 wins on the spin. They were very good in the first 2 against Northampton and Blackpool, but they were really fortunate in midweek to beat Bolton. I don't know if you saw the game, but Rotherham had 3 shots, equating to 0.1 expected goals.
Clinical.
And Bolton had 2.65 XG, 36 shots, and 4 big chances, and somehow failed to score. So if Rotherham play like that against Stockport, they could get smashed to pieces because Stockport are absolutely flying. 16 league games now, won 11 of those, drawn 3, won 6 of the last 7 at home. They are surging, and we talked about it a little bit. Will there be anyone that can catch the Wrexham Wickham? I mean, if results go the way of 12:30 and Stockport win this game, all of a sudden they're only 3 points behind Wrexham in second with 4 games to go, and it could be game on.
I don't like it just because of Rotherham's weird upturn since Steve Evans was sacked.
Yeah. It's the same with Southampton potentially getting rid of a man who the players clearly hate. We know it from his career. This is his whole mantra, isn't it? He goes in, he makes himself like some sort of... Well, I don't think he has to try very hard, but he makes himself like the villain. And somehow, sometimes it just makes the team unite in the hatred towards him and win. But you always get it whenever he leaves the club. The sheer joy of the team that he's leaving behind is palpable. And Rotherham have picked up, and that's why I ignored this one. But on the face of it, it does make a lot of sense. A potential automatic chasers against somebody with nothing to play for and very fortunate in some of their results. But I don't know. It's just that Rotherham uptick. And they are on paper a very, very savvy League One side, aren't they? Against.
Yeah. Fine. Happy to leave that one.
Any others we want to mention?
Bolton at Barnsley was one that made my list as well. I mentioned about Bolton midweek with playing really well against Rotherham, struggling. Unfortunate not to get a win. Barnsley have just fallen to pieces. 7 without a win, 5 defeats. Poor at home all season. Just 1 win the last 7 at home. Failed to beat bottom 4 sides. Burton and Cambridge, beaten by a faltering Huddersfield and both Stevenage and Exeter, who've got naught to play for. Bolton, 7 wins in 13 since Schumacher took charge. Process is okay, but I just thought the price looked pretty big for a team looking at top 6 and a Barnsley team that just completely checked out.
I'm at this game.
You going to that one?
Yeah, I'm going to that game.
Well, you can let us know how it goes.
I'm guessing by the silence that it's not going to get in.
Yeah,
which is
just not sure of it.
Iffy, isn't it? Every team I feel like was suggested has been similar. Like, there's all doubt to all of them, as there always is.
I think the slate,
of the slate, isn't it?
Yeah, there's none that we're all like agreeing on, is there?
League 2, or should we just stay out of it because it's a mental division?
We've got to talk about
The only one I had was Port Vale to beat Bromley, just because I know Bromley had a good run of away results. Maybe about December time was it? I think since then it's a little bit of a drop off on it. Port Vale,
Look like they're going to win the title.
Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on at the top? Finally, someone has seized the damn initiative in this division of Warsaw's collapse. Port Vale kicking on really.
Is it the biggest choke in history from Walsall?
I don't know. It's hard to say in it because it's like
Because they're going to finish outside the top 3.
yeah, it's hard when you're at that level, and basically, in the nicest way, a lot of it's relying on very good loan players, and there is the element of the rug could just get pulled from under your feet at any point. For them, it's probably frustrating to see him go to Stoke low and never play.
Yes.
But ultimately, yes, you should be winning at least a couple of them.
Can you remember how many points clear they were?
I'm just finding it out now. Give me a sec.
I swear they were like 15, 18 points.
Let me have a look at their. So when did the
when they played Bradford and lost 3-0 on the 25th of January, before that game, they were
12 points clear and 15 clear of 4th.
12 clear with a game in hand. That was at the end of January.
Since then, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games, of which they've won 2. That is an unbelievable collapse. And they've been drawing a lot. This is the thing as well. They've not exactly been losing, so it's not like you go, oh, let's oppose them, whoever they're playing. I mean, they're playing Barrow, so no. But they've been drawing a lot of games, but it's a hell of a drop. And Port Vale are a team who, I mean, Bradford kept going. It was like Walsall going, go on, have it. Bradford going, oh, nah. Oh, have you picked up? Okay, we'll pick up something as well. Port Vale just come in like a steam train. We'll have it. Then 5 wins and 6.
Well, they beat Walsall, didn't they, last week?
Which was a hell of a game, wasn't it? 3-2 at half time.
They've done Bradford and Port Vale the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know Bradford are top on goal difference, I think, actually, aren't they? But it feels like Port Vale are the one at the moment who are going, right, we'll actually have this title if it's up for grabs then. And I think 3-4 is roughly the price, 8-11 on them to beat Bromley, who, if it was at Bromley, no chance. I'd be staying way clear of that. But Bromley, who, to be fair to them, have been good away from home, just feels like it's the way Port Vale are going at the moment. Not a great deal is going to stop them.
It's just a bit muggy, but odds-on team in League 2, given the...
Yeah, and it's that. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's just a stupid thing, isn't it, to do?
Did you? I thought you might have been on Grimsby this week.
I can't work them out. Jesus Christ.
They made my initial list, but Harrogate picked up at home as well. I don't know if you've seen, but their home results have got, like, they're unbeaten 5 at home.
I know it was last.
Come out of
I know it
nowhere.
was last season, but it was the back end of last season. I went to Harrogate Grimsby,
It's even longer, 8 unbeaten.
yeah, Harrogate Grimsby didn't create a great deal, if I remember, in that game. And obviously that was last season, and they've drastically improved this campaign. But then that's always in the back of your mind when two managers have met, and they did very, very little to kind of create anything in that contest.
What we're saying basically is League Two, just stay the fuck away again.
Yeah, again,
It's a minging slate.
honestly, sit back and just enjoy the show, everyone.
It's chaos, isn't it?
It's the most entertaining league
Yeah.
when it comes to this final part of the season.
While we're in the fourth tier, have you? We've not really talked about the relegation
Say at the other
at
end,
the other end, and it does look as though there's a lot to do for both teams. But give it a bit of airtime. Are they both going down?
Morecambe play Carlisle this weekend.
Big game,
didn't they? And then when Tranmere played Harrogate the other week, that again was like neither are going to go down realistically, but whoever won that would be like, right, we are definitely going to stay up now. We can feel quite confident. And it was Harrogate won that, another 3-2 thriller. Yeah, they're both going down.
Just out of interest, how would you look at playing that game? Because obviously a draw is not going to suit either team. Would you just go for chaos and just go for goals? Both teams going for it.
Potentially, I think there's a case of
It's a great show.
it depends how it plays out, doesn't it? Do you go if it's 0-0 at half time?
Then do you lump on the overs?
Then do you go overs and even like over corners and stuff like that? Because there could be a game state factor that comes in, like you say, that a draw is no good to anyone. It doesn't matter if you finish 23rd or 24th. You're going down.
Yeah.
Going down.
And particularly
Gotta
from
swing it.
Morecambe, who are hosting as well, Accrington at Tranmere. So one of those or both of those are going to drop points. A win and suddenly going
3 points. Yeah.
potentially only a win away, depending how the kind of goal difference plays out on getting ourselves safe. Goals could well be an approach, corners, goals and stuff like that. It just depends on the game state. You kind of have to do it pre-game and then almost go back in play if it's still like a 0-0 or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's an interesting game, and I do like how the TV broadcasters have just gone, yeah, fuck it, we're not going to put any relegation games early. We're just going to have all the teams at the top early.
Fair enough,
the
Tim.
rest.
I don't want to watch Morecambe Carlisle. As much as
There's
riding
so
on it.
much jeopardy, isn't there?
I'm all right.
I don't think there's any jeopardy. They're
But-
both down.
No, if Morecambe win and Accrington lose to Tranmere, there's 3 points with 4 games to go. Like literally, that anything could happen at that stage.
Who Morecambe got left? We need to wrap up and actually pick an Acca, but I am curious to see
Yeah.
if they've got.
Bromley away, Salford at
Salford,
home,
Chesterfield,
Chesterfield away,
Harrogate.
Harrogate at home.
No,
Yeah,
never
they're done.
mind.
Yeah.
So what do we want to do Acca wise? Getting on a bit.
I think we talked about Burton.
Do we want to take Luton? Do we want to take Millwall? We seem pretty
Luton, Millwall, Burton.
happy on those.
And I think we just emphasise that the slate is that bad that we've ended up picking a couple of longer prices that we think are overpriced but have a really good chance of winning. So we're not. Obviously it's one of those like it's a little bit puntier than usual compared to the last winner we had when all three of us was on, which was like 8-1, 4 favourites for the leagues basically. Worth a go. I like it.
You could pop Forest in there, make it 40-1.
Tell you what, we could do. Why don't we take that as the treble, and as we always do, we'll put the long list.
Yeah.
It's back on site.
You're gonna do the 4 or the 5?
We can decide that later for a nice surprise.
Ooh.
When you go and back it,
Easy.
then this week's Acca, then we'll settle on another treble, but it's another big price treble. Given the involvement of a couple of teams in this, we're taking Luton to beat Blackburn, we're taking Millwall to beat Middlesbrough, and then in Sky Bet League One, it is Burton Albion to beat Huddersfield. The price just shy of 20-1.
Ooh.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Biggest treble we've done all season, isn't it?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, let's get a bigger one soon before the season's ending. Hopefully that wins. Remember, though, to keep it fun, never bet more you can afford, and please gamble responsibly. Head over to sportlife.com/football. As we said, midday on Friday. Be able to find the link to back that and the long list, whatever ones we pick to go in that. Around midday Friday, as I said there. And if you haven't already, please follow and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your chosen podcast provider. We'll be back Wednesday. Don't let it catch you out for the Easter Friday fixtures.